that something, was like wrong with her. And so basically stunned, like she wasn't breathing. And it's because of the magnesium that they were giving me. So it made her so sleepy and groggy that when she was born, she didn't realize, like, okay, it's time to breathe now. So, they, because of those respiratory issues, they admitted her to the NICU. And, once they told me that, that's when I started to cry. And, because I realized, like, oh my gosh, like, my poor baby. And so they rolled me on the gurney into the NICU. And, they put her on me for a few minutes. And, I'm just like a wreck. Because I just, it's like, this is my baby. And my poor baby is not doing so great, in her first few moments. But luckily, it was only her first few moments. Like, after that, she started breathing on her own. And, they were checking her, making sure she didn't need any antibiotics. She didn't have any infection. She didn't. And so, how much a bottle, huh? So, she ended up staying in the NICU for a full 5 days, which she shouldn't have been in there for that long. But my horror story with the NICU is a completely different story for another time. But what do you want? No? You don't want this either? So, while she's in the NICU, I'm in the hospital because, I had C-section. And the whole time I'm asking them, because my incision didn't seem like it should seem. I mean, I've never had a C-section before, but something didn't seem right. But everyone who I asked, all the doctors, all the nurses, like, no, it looks good. Your incision's healing very nicely, and et cetera, et cetera. So on the 5th day, we're both discharged, and I go home, and I noticed I had like a little bit of a fever, but I wasn't thinking much of it. Like it was like, I think 99 degrees was my temperature. So I'm like, oh, that's not that much above normal. Like it's fine. And so a couple days later, like, I'm feeling worse and worse. And when I check my temperature, it's 102.9. And my incision area is now hot, and it's very hard. And it just, it doesn't feel right. And so I make an appointment to see the doctor. When I go in, she's like, oh my gosh, this looks totally different. Like, I think it's infected. I want to send you to the ER so that they can do a CT scan and, really check you out and make sure it's just a skin infection and no, like, fluid pockets underneath there that, we would need to go in for surgery for. And so I get the CT scan, and they say it's just a skin infection. And so they're giving me antibiotics for that. And they admit me into the hospital, which was really hard because I had to leave the baby. I couldn't take her back into the hospital with me. And I didn't have my charger, so I couldn't, like, call home and FaceTime with her like I wanted to. So that was really, really hard, being away from her when she's still only a couple days old. So I am finally discharged from the hospital, and when they discharged me, though, like, my incision area started to, like, sorry, this is starting to get graphic, so if you don't like graphic stuff, then I would say stop watching. But my incision area started to ooze like pus. And this is before I left the hospital, but the doctor was saying that that was good. So I'm like, okay. Um, they discharged me, and a couple days later, I sent a picture to my doctor, just checking, like, hey, it's been a couple days since I left. I just want to make sure my incision area is looking good. And she's like, I think it's okay, but I want you to come in just in case. So I go to the doctor, and she's like, oh no, this is not looking good. She's like, you need to go back to the ER. Like, you need to go back to the hospital. And I broke down. I'm like, so you want me to leave my baby again? And I go back to the ER. I'm crying hysterically. And they end up admitting me and telling me that I need to go back into surgery. And so first they were thinking like, oh, it could just be like where we make you comfortable and, get all the infection out. But then they came back and they were like, no, we need to put you under anesthesia and go back in and get all of the infection out. So I'm there by myself, about to go under anesthesia into surgery without my baby. I'm just like an emotional wreck at this point. So I go into surgery, come out of surgery a couple hours later, and they say all the infection's gone. But in order to help the healing process, they put this contraption on me that sucks out, makes sure that my body is healing from the inside out. So I've been walking around with this vacuum connected to me, connected to my incision area, to help the healing process. It's been like almost 3 weeks now. No, it's been longer than that. It's been almost a month now. So I have a doctor's appointment on Tuesday. I'm praying that they tell me I don't have to wear this anymore. The incision area, it's healing. The wound is getting smaller now. So I'm really hoping that after this week, I don't have to wear this thing anymore, because I literally trip. Oops, sorry, baby. I trip over this cord all the time. Are you finished? Oh, bless you. Bless you. Bless you. She like always sneezes in threes. But yeah, so it's really troublesome wearing this thing. So I can't wait till the wound is completely healed, and all of the trauma from the pain and the emotional trauma of being away from her is behind us. With us being separated so much in her first few weeks, because for the first 3 weeks I was in and out of the hospital, really. She was in the NICU, I was in my room, when she was first born, and then I went back to the hospital 2 times, and we just really had a hard time, or not a hard time, but it really hindered our bonding in her first few weeks. And so partially because of that, we've had huge challenges with breastfeeding. I've now stopped trying to breastfeed, which was really disappointing. I was so sure that I was going to be able to breastfeed, and so not being able to do so has really been